Is that working? There we go. my my microphone was set to a device that is not connected to my computer, so I don't know why it was doing that. Anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to a weird video, definitely different from what I've done before. Um, I decided to start doing um, videos like this. Um, I was going to originally make this like a um like not production value is the wrong word, but like an edited YouTube video that I would just post to YouTube. Um Rather than this, but I feel like I can get more emotion across just talking rather than recording something. Um this may be a new series. I may start doing podcasts. That's why I kind of gave this stream a weird name. I may start doing podcasts. It's a possibility. But more importantly, today, um, I'm going to rant about something that I have no qualifications to rant about. Well, I mean, I'm not anywhere near being an insider of the automotive industry at all. I just know what I know, and I keep track of trends in the automotive industry, so I feel like I have enough stance to be able to rant about some stuff. Um, and mainly because I'm a Toyota fanboy, I'm going to be ranting about Toyota today. Um, Not really ranting, just more expressing my confusion to someone who will possibly listen to me. Um, so I've got what we're gonna be what you're gonna be watching today is me expressing my ideas and frustration in Paint 3D. So this is you signed up for this. You clicked on this stream. This is what you got to deal with. Um, so we are gonna talk about we're gonna talk about a couple things today. Um, and more importantly, I'm going to um, talk about my thoughts on what Toyota's doing and what a lot of automakers are doing now. Um, and then I'm going to rant about just cars in general at some point. Um, Again, I'm no insider. There are clearly people that know more than me, but I've been on. I've been paying attention to Toyota for years, so I know how Toyota works. I have a 2013 RAV4, which I love the crap out of. I want a new car, but it's hasn't ever done me bad once. And when Kauai needs, or when if she will eventually get a new car, I'm probably going to talk her into just getting a Corolla. Um, so I do love Toyota. Um, Toyota is incredible for reliability. I will always recommend someone to get a Toyota. And yeah, whatever, call me a fanboy. Um, I fucking hate American automakers with a burning passion. Um, for the main point that most, even new stuff, most of what American automakers is make is just absolute garbage. Um, GM has just had a long series of cars that are absolutely terrible. Yes, old GM was good, like pre. I'm not going to say pre '90s, but they had hit a couple good marks, had a couple good cars, but after pretty much 2008, and again, this is Outsider information. This is all my conspiracy, but again, you signed up to listen to me, so whatever. Um, After 2008, all the American automakers have heavy, heavy ties to the U.S. government, and that is not on the surface a terribly bad thing. It just means that there's a lot of government oversight in American companies, and that's why everything is now cheap, and that's why everything is being produced in like Mexico, and that has extremely lower quality. But the three American automakers, GM, Chrysler, and Ford, are I just Ford at least has a little bit more of my respect than the other two, but I would never buy anything. Yes, most of the Toyotas sold in the North American market are made in the US, but that's not the point because they're still developed and some of them are still built in Japan. I'm talking about pure American companies, GM, Chrysler, and Ford. Um, and there's a lot of like insider drama with automakers too. Like GM has three car brands and just sells the same car three times at three completely different prices. Like the Tahoe slash Suburban get copy pasted three times and kind of changed a little bit. So the Yukon XL, and the Cadillac, the Escalade, and the fucking Tahoe and the Suburban are the same exact fucking car. There is no. They are pretty much the exact same car with a couple other visual stuff stapled to them to make them look a little different and necessitate Cadillac charging 30,000 plus on top of a Tahoe. But that's a part of me to rant later on in this video. What I am going to start off with um, Toyota at least. I'm going to go from there and then I'll work my way towards just me screaming about cars. Again, you signed up for this. Um, so if you've paid attention, um, I'm just saying this out loud in case someone does or doesn't follow the auto industry. Toyota just revealed the Crown as a new nameplate. The Crown being an incredible executive class sedan that Toyota had made for decades now, and that was such a popular car, but it was Japan exclusive, so it was left hand or right hand drive, um, and they only sold them in Japan. But now Toyota has decided to bring the Crown to the rest of the world, and not only that, the Crown now has four different flavors. Um, if I can fucking spell. The reason why I have Paint open is so I can copy paste pictures and do stuff like this. So the Crown now comes in four different flavors. Um, this is the one we are getting in North America, and then these will be rolled out later to the rest of the world, but we're getting this one first. Um, this is kind of a crossovery SUV. It's definitely um, I get vibes of the Honda Cross Tour, which why did that so big? I definitely get vibes of the Honda Cross Tour, um, but it virtually was just a stretched Honda Accord with an SUV compartment in the back, but this was way before its time. It, this car did not do very well because it was a weird car. I mean, not weird as in like PT Cruiser weird, but something like this was unheard of for the most part in North America. A sportback sedan. It was unheard of. No one, a high riding sportback sedan, because there wasn't really a name for something like this. A crossover wasn't really a thing yet. Um, so I didn't mean to. There we go. So now that we've gotten into a new age where sedans and this is kind of that point where sedans and SUVs are kind of blending into being one thing, which I don't mind. Um, I on a broad scale, this is me going on a tangent. On a broad scale, I don't like cars because I'm an urbanist. I I don't want to have to drive a car. I'd much rather just take a train or a bus to work. But of course, I live in North America, which is always in first of all terrible for public transit. But I live in a city where we have virtually absolutely no public transit, and we're a suburban hellscape, so I have to drive. But back on topic, this is kind of a point where SUVs and sedans intertwine because there's no reason there you cannot justify. I can have a general idea of justifying the existence of a minivan. If you have multiple kids, okay, whatever. Maybe you're not comfortable sticking your demon children into the back of a sedan, or let alone like a Highlander or an SUV or a mid-size, quote unquote, mid-sized SUV. Um, but you cannot justify the existence of full extra large sized SUVs like the Tahoe, Suburban, Sequoia, Yukon, the what else am I thinking about? Um, Durango, the Grand Cherokee. It's that I in the automotive industry that's called a real SUV, like that is a full sized SUV, but in my book, that's an extra large SUV. That is beyond the size of something someone should realistically drive, other than they have no shame and they're just driving it for a status symbol. Like the King Ranch, the Tahoe and Suburban King Ranch. There is no reason, or is that at Ford? I again, you can see how much I don't care about American automakers. I don't care. It, your giant gas consuming Suburban does not impress me. And I work at a hotel where our parking garage was built in the 80s and it's absolutely tiny. And we barely have enough spaces for the rooms that we have in our hotel. Our garage is so cramped and narrow, and the corners are so tight that people with anything other than a Highlander and up cannot park in the garage at all. And it's why do you drive that? I don't understand why anyone would need something that. And pickup trucks. Why do you need a a Silverado Super Duty with an 8-foot bed, jacked up aftermarket? Why? And why are you taking that on vacation? Why are you bringing that to the ocean front with your chill? Why did you drive 10 hours in a pickup truck? Why? Who, in my mind, those people bought a truck, they live in the suburbs, all they do They live in the suburbs and they work at what? They work at a warehouse. Some warehouse, they work in an office and they park their truck in a parking lot for 8 hours a day. All they do every single day is get in their car, drive to work, go to work, and then drive home. You have no reason to own a pickup truck other than a status symbol. You take that giant truck and you try to park it in your tiny 2 car driveway in front of your suburban hellscape of a house. Why? You clearly do not need that truck. You have never once put a piece of drywall in the back of your truck, let alone do you even know how to put a piece of drywall in the back of your truck. Those line hooks for fucking um bungee cords have probably never been used. You're supposed to abuse a pickup truck. You're not. That's why I generally relatively respect people who drive like base stock regular like F-150s, because that's like, and then people who buy base stock Toyotas are obviously smart because they want to buy something, that'll last. But I generally respect people who buy a base or like a not like a sport trim truck, because clearly they're gonna like abuse it. You're not supposed to baby a bed liner. You're supposed to scratch the crap out of it, pushing stuff in and out. You're supposed to use a truck like a van. You're supposed to abuse a van and not baby it like it's a Mercedes. Like you're not, you buying a 1500 and putting smoked taillights on the back of it and jacking it up far beyond anything that it's recommended to have a raising kit on. You're just dumb. And you don't deserve to drive a giant truck with smoked headlights and taillights because you're just dumb. I don't I do not apologize for that opinion of mine. You're just, if you drive a Dodge, you're just dumb because that's a Chrysler product and Chrysler's fucking terrible. Especially, it's owned by Fiat pretty much. Anyway, back to Toyota. I keep going off topic, but that's what I'm here for. The my thought process. I'm I'm trying to come back to talking about this. Um, this is what we're getting in the U.S. I'm excited. It is going to be like a luxury SUV. Toyota already killed the Avalon, which was um, the highest sedan you could get. Um, of course, not counting Lexus, because Lexus is owned by Toyota. They're just rebrand or rebadged Toyotas. Um, their sedans in lineup from lowest to highest go Corolla, Camry, Avalon, not counting the Prius, obviously. Um, the Avalon was always the peak, like luxury Toyota. It was pretty much a Lexus, but it had Toyota badging. There we go. Toyota killed the Avalon, and they're pretty much replacing it with the Crown, the quote Crown nameplate. All four of these cars are under the same nameplate. They're all Crown. Of course, they'll probably get different names, but the thought that I have is Toyota is trying or will do the same thing Hyundai did with Genesis. The Hyundai Genesis was a luxury sedan under the Hyundai name, but it got popular enough that Hyundai just kind of split it off, and now Genesis is its own luxury brand, and they make their own I mean, they're still Hyundais, but they have their own cars. So there's multiple Genesis cars, but they're still Hyundais. I'm imagining this is what Toyota's going to do. Um, all of these still do have Toyota badges. At least the pictures I've seen of like the back of these two, they still have Toyota badges. But the front has the Toyota Crown logo, and their license plate. These are this is clearly a 3D model, but when they showed them on the stage, when Toyota revealed them, they all had Crown on the license plate, the front license plate cover, not Toyota. They said Crown. So I'm imagining in the next couple of years, if this goes somewhere enough for Toyota to necessitate spending enough money off of it, they'll spin it off into their own, um, its own brand of cars. So Toyota will own Toyota, Crown, and Lexus, pretty much. But Crown will be like the one step above Lexus. Like it'll be even more um one better, I guess. Um in the lineup, the Crown was supposed to be what they said in their press release, their big thing on stage. They had a whole media outlet. Um the this one, they were just going to make a new Crown. It was just going to be one car, but then it kind of split and they diversified the name. Um, they are still making a standard sedan. Um, this one, a standard luxury sedan, but there's now two new SUVs because everyone buys SUVs nowadays. My thought from my head is that we're gonna see a new Camry because the Camry. How old is the? Hold on. I should have prepared a lot of things before I started this. I know. Um, the Camry, the current generation of Camry that we're sitting on right now, um, was what the hell am I looking at? 2017. There we go. The current generation of Camry we're sitting on is from 2017. The Corolla just got a new update. I think like a year or two ago to the Apex, whenever the Apex came out. Um, but the Camry is still from 2017, and arguably it's still a good-looking sedan. I mean, I'll copy this and paste it over here. It's still a good-looking sedan. That is still. This is the SE trim, the sporty one. I find the Camry to be absolutely gorgeous. I don't like sedans because they sit so low, and I drove a Chevy Sonic hatchback, so I know how low sedans sit. But I love the look of this car. It's incredible. I love its body lines and all of that. But it's old. It is running on the TNGA, the Toyota New Global Architecture, which is they're basically trying to get all of their cars on the same platform so it's easier for manufacturing. Um, but it's kind of antiquated. It's showing its age. Its interior is a little older. Um, it's still. I'm fairly certain, at least, that they're still running on the older, one generation behind Toyota infotainment system inside the car. Um, but when this comes out, I feel like we're gonna get a new Camry, like a new, not a facelift, like a brand new Camry. Because it's time. Toyota has updated pretty much all the rest of their lineup. The Corolla's new. The Rav4 was 2019. The Highlander was 2019. The Sequoia's brand new. The Tundra's brand new. The Venza is the Venza. Um, so I feel like we're getting a new Camry. And I am excited because this, I'm going to piss people off by saying this. I want a new Prius. I love the current generation of Prius. I would buy one in a heartbeat if I had the money, and especially the Nightshade with the black trim and everything. I would buy the crap out of one of those because I love. If I have to drive a car, I want to drive a hybrid. The one I'm my Rav4 I'm driving right now clearly is not a hybrid. It's 2013. Um, but the only reason I bought it is because my family already has one. I already knew how to drive it. I already know all the problems that they usually have. And it was cheap. I bought it on Carvana. But I want a Prius. And the Prius that we have um, is from 2019, I think. Hold on, let me. Again, I should have found stuff like this out before I came on and started the stream. 2015. It's from 2015. Oh my god, it's almost 10 years. It's almost 10 years old. Um, Arguably, it's still a very good-looking Prius, and it was facelifted in 2018. Um, Obviously, the Prius Prime is a very good car because it's a plug-in hybrid. Um, but the Prius, um, I just think that's a. Oh, I clicked. I meant to click Control, not one of my hotkeys. Um, I just really like the Prius. It looks so good, but I think, and this is me knowing Toyota, and this is me knowing how Toyota shares platforms and stuff. I feel like this is gonna be a new Prius. So this, the Crown Cross, whatever the hell Toyota calls it, um, is a pure hybrid. So it only comes in a hybrid powertrain. Um, the hybrid or the base, not the base, the first two trim levels out of the three come with pretty much a standard hybrid. The just gasoline engine, whatever. The one in the highest is the Max Force hybrid, which I'm fairly certain that the same one that's in the um, Sequoia and the Tundra, but it's sportier and it's clearly faster and it gets better fuel mileage. So I feel like once this comes out, once the new sedan plus Camry comes out, there'll be a lower, cheaper kind of redid version of this as a Prius. Because this is already a sportback. The Prius has always been a sportback sedan, which is basically a SUV because technically it comes on all-wheel drive. Um, but this is already pretty much laid out to be a Prius. It's just way above the price of where a Prius should be. The Prius has always been the practical, economical, environmentally minded hybrid. It has been the mecca for the environmental Prius, but this is like a luxury car. These two are nowhere near being the same thing. So I feel like we're gonna get a dumbed down, cheaper version of this, but it'll still be a Prius. And even then, if they make like an SE trim or like the higher trim levels, they'll stick the Max Force in it. Because I'm fairly certain that's newer. That the Max Force is newer. So I feel like there'll be a sporty Prius, if that makes sense. Like the higher trim levels, or if they make an SE, the sport trim, it'll be a like a sporty Prius. faster, yada yada. And even then, I just looked at my notes and I remembered, um, what they may do is bring back the Prius nameplates. So right now we just have Prius and Prius Prime. We have the two, and the Prime is basically the same car with a different face, but it's a plug-in hybrid. Um, Back before 2015 ish, or but I think around that time, there were like three different Priuses. There was the regular Prius, the Prius V, which was like a bigger SUV sized Prius, and then the Prius C, which was a little tiny, itty bitty little hatchback that you could put in your pocket. So, with the sportier trim, we may get a sportier trim that just has different bits glued to it, black wheels, and it comes with the Max Force engine. Or we may have or we may have three Priuses. I assume they'll bring the Prime into this generation. So there'll be my imagination says there'll be the regular Prius, the Prius Sport. I'll call it from now on the Prius Sport. So the Prius Sport, the Prius Prime, and then the Crown Cross. That'll kind of be the Toyota's four like pure hybrid sedans. That's my thought of what Toyota's going to do, because this rides on the hybrid version of the I lost ability to click the Prius image anymore. The Prius rides on the um, pretty much the Camry frame. Um, so I feel like that'll happen in succession. Um, that is my imagination, and that's my theory. And we'll come back next year, or the year after, and we'll talk about this again and see where Toyota has gone with the Camry and the Prius. Because clearly, this needs an update because this is old, and this very much needs to be updated. It got a facelift in 2018, but it's still the same car with just a different bumper. Like that doesn't. I give it to Toyota to not keep spending money on new model generations, because that's a lot of money to develop a car. And then set up the manufacturing and timing, and you have to set up plants to make the cars at certain times, and you have to order all of the crap from your subsidiaries to get all of the plastic part, like the headlights. Like Toyota clearly does not make those in the same factory that they assemble the damn car. They probably get them on containers at 50 cars a container, and they just stick them in the cars at the same time. But that's a lot of money and a lot of time to build a new car every like 3 years. So Toyota makes sense by like facelifting their cars. So after like 4 or 5 years, they'll kind of like move the headlights around and maybe give them a new bumper, and oh, there's new rims, and then oh, there's a new trim, and it gives you like black accents. Like that's Toyota's been doing that for years now. Pretty much after 2000-ish. Toyota started doing that. They facelifting cars. Um and this got a facelift in 2018. So it's high time. It's almost we're 3 years away from this thing being 10 damn years old. So it's time we get a new Prius. I'm gonna take a breath. I'm gonna take a drink of my Wawa that I bought on the way home. My other thought. So that's the. I may come back to the Prius, Camry, Corolla debacle if I think about it. But for now, let's move on. Clearly, if you aren't blind because you're watching this stream, so if you've been watching what I'm doing, you probably are able to see what I'm doing. Um, there are two other cars in the Crown lineup. So one of them is like a sport SUV, and the other one is the global market calls an estate, but here we call it station wagon. Um, I don't know how to feel about both of these because there's a lot of subtext. Again, if you can't tell, I fucking love Toyota, and I know, or I think I know a lot about Toyota. I'm very passionate about Toyota because I like their products. They're a very good company. I feel that they're reliable. Yada yada, whatever. Um, you can clearly tell there's two other these here. I have an issue. I don't have an issue, but I have a point of contention that I want to bring up with both of these. I'm gonna try to find a better picture of both of these for you so you can see them. Um, I mean, I guess that is a terrible low quality. How many? It's 1200 pixels by 657. Yeah, no, I'm not picking that one. I've got Google open in my other. There we go. Um, so this is the Jesus Christ. This is the sporty one. Um, and where's the? It, good lord. I found two pictures of this one, so I'll just put them here. Um, come on, you load faster. Thank you. Can I find another one of the red one? Also, if someone wants to sue me for taking pictures off of Google, then that's not my problem. Um, I'll stick this up here for now, I guess. So, Toyota has way too many damn SUVs. I'm gonna put that out there again. Even though I'm a Toyota fanboy, I'm gonna put out there Toyota has way too many damn SUVs. It is a growing market. A lot of people want SUVs. That's why the Crown is a crossover because people want higher ride height. They want better visibility. They want the storage capacity of an SUV. Um, but there's a lot of SUVs nowadays, and especially in Toyota's own lineup. I mean, hold on, let me go to Toyota's website. Um, Toyota has in the crossovers and SUV, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight SUVs, and that's not counting these. There's the Sequoia, the Highlander, the Venza, the CHR, the Rav4, Corolla Cross, 4Runner, and then the BZ4X, which we don't talk about. Um, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of subtext that I feel like I can make enough inference off of to go and make an assumption that I'll now tell you. And again, we'll come back and talk about this whenever these cars come out. And whatever happens, happens. I may be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but this is my thought right now. We're. I'm thinking about the words. Toyota is very crowded with SUVs. And yes, these aren't I mean, it's a Toyota. Clearly, it's manufactured by Toyota, but these are like luxury cars. So they'll be in a different. When you go to the Toyota website, they'll be in a different tab, and they're not going to be associated with the rest of the Toyota lineup. But clearly, knowing Toyota and knowing its tendencies, Toyota's going to roll the luxury vehicles down through their regular Toyota vehicles. So I have theories that I'm going to say and think of. I'm going to start with the preface of the Lexus RX being a new model generation. We're just getting that now. Um, and the Lexus RX is a Highlander, a Toyota Highlander, but Lexusified. So it's classier, leather, yada yada. It's always been a Highlander. The Highlander, Toyota's Highlander, is brand new, pretty much. It's from 2019. It's still a virtually brand new car. Um, in what I just said, Toyota's not going to give up something that fast um, to make a new generation, especially something that sells so well. I love the Highlander. If the Highlander was cheaper, I love the look of the Highlander, especially the SE trim. Oh, that's such a good looking car. The Highlander is not going anywhere, but the RX has gotten a major redesign. It's kept the same kind of style as the old one, but it's a brand new car. Um, it is not a facelift. That RX was from God, I don't know when. Probably 2013 when the last Highlander came out, or 2015 when the last Highlander came out. I'm turned away looking elsewhere in my room, so I don't feel like looking it up on Wikipedia. Um, the Toyota Highlander is not going to be updated. The Sequoia is brand new, but the Highlander is not going anywhere. I get from the red sporty SUV that this is supposed to be I I assume, and that's why it's in red. I assume Toyota's trying to make a jab at like Ferrari, um, like the I-Pace. I don't, as far as I remember, I'm fairly certain that the red SUV is not a hybrid. It's going to be a pure combustion engine. It'll probably be offered with a hybrid, but it's probably primarily going to be like a sporty racing. No, it's an SUV. It's clearly not going to be doing any racing, but a sporty SUV. Um, it'll have harder shocks. It'll probably have TRD badges on it. It'll be a harder riding, sporty, corner cutting SUV. Um, my thought is that the new RX is not a Highlander anymore. This is hold on, just for quick reference. Um, can I find a picture that's not the rear quarter panel? There we go. This is the old RX. Or well, it old. It's not like it's from 1999. I loved this car. It's very pretty. It has very good body lines. But this is a Highlander. This is a Toyota Highlander with some different visual stuff glued to it. I'm trying to find a picture of the new RX. No, not Lexus RC. What the hell? Keyboard. Can I, for the love of God, find a picture of the? Why is the internet not being any help to me at all? Okay, I can look in a. There we go. Good lord. Um, I want to find a good picture of it. Okay. You will hopefully immediately find what I'm about to say when I paste this picture. This is the same car. pretty clearly it's not the same car, but these are very much similar enough that I would call them sharing in the same platform. Um, I think that the new RX is the same like length, the total length of the existing RX, but the wheelbase has been stretched. So the back wheels got moved back. So it from the back quarter panel, um, you'll really be able to see this. Hold on. From the whoa. From the rear quarter panel, you can really see that these are very, very similar in shape and proportion. Um, I'm going to claim that Toyota has made a new platform. I don't think it's the new Camry, um, because the Highlander is an Avalon with an SUV body. Um, but these two are very very similar. So I do not foresee Toyota having another copy of these two cars. Toyota usually Toyota usually makes everything in twos. Um, there's two Camrys. There's the Toyota Camry, and then there's the Lexus, whatever the Camry is. There's the Sequoia, and then the Lexus GX or whatever it is. The Highlander and the RX, the Corolla, and whatever the tiny Lexus is. I highly doubt there will be a regular. Again, this is assuming Toyota is going to put the crown at like another level. I highly doubt the there will be like a regular Toyota of these two. So this is probably going to be a sporty. Lexus is always a luxury, so it's going to be softer, it's plusher, geared towards an older young audience. That's why the Avalon got killed to make way for the Crown, because the average Toyota says the average age of someone who owns an Avalon is like 66. So they're trying to push towards like a younger generation. I highly doubt there will be another of these, because this is the plushy Lexusified version of this super sporty kind of Ferrari stab. Um, and even you can even see the tail lights on the back of these are they're very not Toyota. Can I find a can I go way back and find a picture of the back of this? There we go. This oh, it's terrible. No, okay, it's not terrible quality. This is very much it's kind of squished, so I'm gonna do that a little bit. It's very much not Toyota. I have seen Toyota enough to know Toyota's styling brands, and maybe they're trying to do a new thing, and this is the new era of Toyota's taillights, but this is very much not Toyota. This is trying to be a Ferrari, you know, sporty SUV to make a jab at that point. I am generally excited because I think that it's going to do well, especially the sportier version. It's going to be harder. It's going to not be as luxurious. It's going to probably have like a trim level where it's like stripped down more so it's faster, and That's my thought with the red one, because again, again, you can even see this is the exact same goddamn car. You can see this very distinct swoop in the body line right here that falls along the hip is this body line right here. I mean, they're very, very similar cars. And again, Toyota does this all the time. They make a car, give it to Lexus. Lexus does a little bit of finagling to make it look a little different. And there you go. And it just makes it easier because they're pretty much built in the same plant. Um, and it gives Toyota a broader range of customer base. Because if they're selling the same car to two different buyers, then they're making twice as much money as they would off of one car and only one person who wants the sporty one but not the plush one. So it makes sense in my mind at least. The issue that I have, and I'll keep the red one up here, but I'll get rid of the RX. My issue arises with the station wagon. And that's where I feel like the most contention Toyota is going to have in a very long time is going to come from. Because we really don't know a lot at all about anything other than this one. So this one is the one that's going to come out this year. The rest of these will be rolled out next year, I think. But this one, there's already pre-production models. People have already been doing reviews on it. It's already on Toyota's goddamn website. Um, but the rest of these we know very, very little about. And I feel like what Toyota did, they're clearly in order. So the order that they're going to be rolled out is down the line of succession. So it's the Cross Tour, the sporty one, the sedan, which will, again, going back to what we said earlier, will be the Crown sedan, the new Camry, and probably a new Prius. And then this thing. So if we think back to what we were just talking about, that Toyota does everything in twos. And in this case, probably three, because remember the sedan will be the Crown sedan, a new Lexus sedan, plus a new Camry. So that's three. But if Toyota does everything in threes, I don't want to say it because I don't want the Toyota freak inside of me is kind of like hurling on the inside, but I have to say it. Um, if Toyota does everything in threes, and there's a lot Toyota has done to update its cars to bring everything to a new generation, because everything pretty much is virtually at this point, other than what we've talked about, the Camry, the Prius. I don't think the CHR is going anywhere. So the CHR is going to stay because that's a very well sold car. I think that was 2019 when all of the rest of them came out. Venza's not going anywhere. Corolla Cross is brand new. That's not going anywhere. RAV4 was 2019. That's not going anywhere. It'll probably get a facelift. We'll talk about that later. Highlander's not going anywhere. Sequoia's brand new. What is left in Toyota's lineup to be updated, to be brought to a new generation so that all of their cars are new? The one thing that will destroy Toyota's fan base Why is it so tiny? Here's where you insert dun dun dun. I feel like the Forerunner is gonna get squashed and lowered to become a sedan or to become a station wagon. I'm gonna find a bigger picture of for the Forerunner, so we don't have to look at that one. Uh, Jesus Christ, it's not what I wanted. There we go. The only thing left for Toyota to update is the Forerunner, and that may be a blow to a lot of people that love the Forerunner, because the Forerunner has always been it's always been the middle ground between the RAV4 and the Sequoia slash Land Cruiser, because it's always been the again it's an XL SUV. It's the same size as the Tahoe pretty much, but it's always been an in between the lower mid-sized RAV4 and the super luxury, basically a Lexus Toyota Sequoia. So the issue is that the Forerunner is a four-wheel drive Wrangler copycat. It's Toyota's Wrangler, because the FJ Cruiser, which was back before this thing, before the current generation of Forerunner came out, um, was the FJ Cruiser, and that was supposed to be a Wrangler, a Jeep Wrangler, but that clearly did not work. So, if Toyota makes the Forerunner into a station wagon, it's going to make a lot of people unhappy. Because they're basically going to slice one of their most respected nameplates down to what the Eclipse is now, the Mitsubishi Eclipse. Because the Mitsubishi Eclipse, when Nissan pretty much bought Mitsubishi Automotive, the Mitsubishi Eclipse became the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. And that just ruined Mitsubishi's honor of having the Eclipse as a nameplate. But I don't, unless Toyota does something really radical in making this a very different car for like the regular Toyota brand rather than Crown, I don't foresee it being a 4x4 monster that the current Forerunner is. Because how old is the current Forerunner? Let me. The current Forerunner is, I swear, I think it's like 2013. Like, it is ancient. It is ancient technology that the current Forerunner is running on. Where is it? 2009! 2000, the current platform that the Forerunner is running on is from 2009! And clearly, obviously, it's had facelifts since then, but it is the same car. I mean, clearly, if I paste this picture, you will be able to see this is the exact same car, and this is from 2009. It's just been, you know, different headlights and different rims, and the crossbars or the roof rails are the exact same. But this generation of Forerunner has been around since 2009. It's high time that Toyota gives it an update. Um, the other thing that my thought is, um, that there's already been spy pictures of it, um, like real spy pictures of pickup trucks with Toyota dealer plates on them covered in like thick like tarp and stuff driving down the street. My imagination is that because this yellow one is the last of the lineup, I feel like we're going to get a new Tacoma, which is the small um, Toyota pickup truck. We'll get a new Tacoma. Whatever this Crown station wagon is going to be called, and the new Forerunner, in my mind, whatever new Forerunner will run on the same platform. They'll all be the same wheelbase, all that. Independent suspension, whatever Toyota does for the new Tacoma. Um, it's gonna be bad. It's not gonna be pretty because Toyota has a huge fan base for the Forerunner. And my problem is that the current Forerunner is a body on frame. Um, at least I think it is. Uh, I'm fairly certain it's a body on frame. Um, Instead of unibody. So if they make it a unibody, it may not be as off-road capable. Because people deck the crap out of it. I mean, TRD loves the hell out of the Forerunner. They have so many TRD trim levels. So, and clearly you can see, unless this is some weird, swanky bumper design that Toyota's trying to try out, I'm fairly certain this thing is going to be a hybrid, like an actual hybrid, because it has a very covered front fascia, like most hybrids nowadays have like the same kind of futuristic look to them. Um, though the cross or the Crown Cross, the brown one, doesn't. So maybe that's just a style choice. Um, I look forward to it because clearly the Forerunner needs a new update anyway. I mean, God, for God's sake, that 2009, and it's the same interior too. It looks pretty much the exact same as when it did when the damn thing came out. Hold on, 2009 Forerunner interior. Ooh, yummy. Ooh, ooh, look at. Oh, ugh. God, what does the 22 look like? I mean, clearly, the saving a few kind of stylistic choice. Obviously, the steering wheel is different. These are. It's still the same car. I mean, it's still the same car, but they just kind of. Oh, it's so nasty. It looks so gross. I hate the interior of the Forerunner. Um, I'm excited. Saving the point of there being a ruined Forerunner in the future, I'm excited for this. Um, Even if Toyota brings a new nameplate to the base, like the regular Toyota brand, if they bring a new nameplate and have a new station wagon, I would not mind that. Um, because it's going to be right neck and neck in competition with the Subaru Outback, which is pretty much the only station wagon in North America. I mean, clearly there's Volvo, but still, and VW. But it's gonna be a tight race between the Outback and whatever this thing is. I, from the looks of this thing, I would drive that. Of course, it's gonna be way out of my price range because it's a luxury SUV. But if they make a dumbed down Toyota version of this, I would not mind it at all if it looked relatively the same. Um, I feel like the crown thing is these headlights. These kind of like C shaped headlights, because it's on here too. Or I don't know if that's going to be part of the headlight, but that design is carried through the back, and they all have connected taillights. They have taillight bars in the back. Um, yeah, that's my rant so far, at least. We'll see. We'll see if Toyota does something that bites them in the ass. They've been making some fairly decent decisions pretty recently. Um, but we'll see. I mean, for God's sake, I'm terrified of the Forerunner ruining everything. Um, and even then, what I thought of earlier is that even if, again, everything Toyota makes multiple of the same cars, so even if Toyota ever makes a new Forerunner, let's say the Forerunner doesn't just get yoinked off the face of the planet. If Toyota makes a new Forerunner, it'll probably just be, if Toyota wants to pick a safe route, it would just be a a Tacoma chassis with an SUV slapped on top of it. Because that's what the Sequoia is. The Sequoia is a Tundra with an SUV on top of it. So when the new Tacoma comes out, I'm fairly certain the we will get a new Forerunner. I will that is my best case scenario, is that the Forerunner and the Tacoma are going to share each other. But what is Toyota going to do about this station wagon? Because again, they make everything in twos or threes in the case of the their sedans. I don't know. I don't know if Toyota will come up with a new nameplate. Maybe we'll get a, God, another SUV for Toyota to milk its milk off of. I wouldn't mind that either, because then that would save the Forerunner to be the 4x4, like, wilderness explorer, mountain rock climbing, off roady SUV it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Toyota's jab at the Wrangler and now the Bronco, clearly. Um, I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot, and even if the new Tacoma doesn't share the Forerunner, I feel like if they do make a new Forerunner, it'll just be a smaller Sequoia. Like it'll just be a squat, smaller Sequoia. Um, if if it is shared, like my thought, if the Forerunner becomes a station wagon, it would really be a new true mid grade between the Rav4 and the Sequoia, because the Forerunner has always kind of been the same general size as the Sequoia. I mean, not the previous Sequoia, but they've always kind of been the same size. They're big and bulky. Sometimes three. I think the Forerunner comes with three rows if you buy enough. Um, but yeah, they've always been kind of the same size. So if they squat the Forerunner, it really would be a true middle between the Rav4 and the Sequoia. And again, I highly doubt that we're getting a new Forerunner, because the form or the sorry, a Rav4, because the Rav4 is 2019. So Toyota would not that quickly in 3 years get rid of the Rav4 and replace it with a station wagon, because that Rav4 that they have right now is extremely popular. But the issue is that there's a new CRV, and I love the look of the new CRV. It is such a good looking car. I hate the current generation of CRV. It looks so ugly, and the interior's nasty. Ugh, I've always hated it. But that new CRV looks so good. Oh, I don't know. Um, in other news, I'm gonna delete the angering thought of the Forerunner being the same as the station wagon. In other news, Toyota, I am glad, is sticking to its kind of thought of um, not choosing one single direction of fuel source. Um, Toyota has always been extremely safe in decisions. What it usually does is it lets everyone else do the trial and error and take the downfall of picking something that doesn't work out, like pure electrification and stuff like that. Toyota keeping its mind open. It hasn't stuck to just making combustion engines. It still makes extremely reliable combustion engines. Now it's making um, clearly it makes hybrid engines. The BZ4X is battery electric, so it's a pure electric. Um, and the Mirai, so they've got hydrogen as well. So they're keeping the doors open for whoever or whatever is the next thing, but they're not. Toyota's not the one spearheading it. They're letting everyone else pick and fail before they spend their money on it. And arguably, that leads a lot of people to think that Toyota doesn't innovate and they're not like being progressive and not following the trends in the automotive industry. But that's why I like Toyota. Toyota is extremely safe about its decisions. It's not going to go full force into electrification if 5 years from now electric cars are looked at as a fad and no one owns electric cars, everyone owns hybrid cars, which is my utopia because lithium ion batteries are extremely destructive to the environment and you cannot recycle lithium ion batteries. And even then, it's just like your phone. The more you charge it and use it and charge it and use it, the batteries degrade over time. What the hell are you going to do with a Model X in 4 years or in 5 years when the batteries are useless and the car is just literally a giant $100,000 paperweight? That is such a waste of, I would hope, your hard earned money. If you didn't earn that money to spend it on a Rev or on a Model X, then you deserve to waste your money on it. But do not buy a fully electric car. Do not buy anything from Tesla. Elon Musk is a god awful, horrible person. Do not buy anything from Tesla. Um, I do not support fully electric cars at all because lithium is so destructive to the environment to harvest. And ugh, I no, that is just beyond anything that I have any plan on supporting for. Hybrid cars do use lithium batteries. I understand that, but they're not as big as the ones in Teslas. They're smaller. They're not using as much lithium. You can make like four Priuses with the amount of batteries you get from like one Model X. I mean, come on, basic math. um, yeah. I've ranted enough to need a break for a second. Um, I feel like Toyota and Subaru are gonna do some more finagling because they finagled with the BZ4X, they finagled with um, the uh, GR86. There we go. The GR86. Um, so I feel like it's only makes sense that Toyota is gonna maybe sell some more designs over to Subaru, or Subaru will claim that it was a 50-50 partnership between Toyota and Subaru, but clearly Toyota does all of the development because Toyota's smarter about stuff like that. Yeah, sorry. Um, the I was thinking about Honda for a second. The um, Honda and Toyota are definitely still neck and neck with direct competitors to each other. Um, the CRV and RAV4, the Corolla Cross is now the true competitor to the HRV. Um, so they're good lord. They're definitely fighting with each other um, over who's got market share, and I think that last generation Toyota won out on the RAV4 versus CRV. I'm fairly certain that the RAV4 sold more, but I think that because Honda came second this time, they came second with the new car, and especially with how good looking the the CRV is, unless it has some massive problem, I think Honda's gonna win this generation. Um, the CRV will definitely be the one to stand longer than, or share market share more than the Rav4 does. I was looking at, what was that? What else was I looking at? Oh, Hyundai. We talked about Hyundai earlier. With Genesis, and I am in love. I love this. Oh my! Hold on, I'll copy it and I'll come over here. Whoa! I love this thing. It looks so good. The Envision 74 looks so good. I love Cyberpunk. Like, not when you say Cyberpunk nowadays, everyone thinks about Cyberpunk 2077. I'm talking about the genre. I love Cyberpunk, and I love that dark future corporate, like 80s futuristic. That's Cyberpunk. That I love that techie. Oh, I just that gets me so excited because I love Cyberpunk and I love the game. I love Cyberpunk 2077. Um, Screw you if you don't. I love Cyberpunk 2077, but this car piques so many of my tick boxes for like the synthwave 80s. Oh, I love how this car looks. It looks so perfect. It has so many body lines. It has kind of cool cyberpunk headlights and taillights, and the back looks so good. It looks incredible, and I know it's a platform car and it's a test car, and they're gonna work on it and then actually see if they're gonna produce another supercar. But oh my god, it looks so good. And Toyota's taken this whole or Toyota, and I've been talking about Toyota for an hour. Um, Hyundai's given this N line its own existence now. So N is now pretty much gonna exactly what I was talking about with Genesis. N is pretty much gonna be its own car brand now. It'll be Hyundai N. Um, the N Vision 74. N is their sport line, like Toyota has TRD. Um, Hyundai has N. Ooh, sorry, I was taking a drink. I love how this thing looks. It is so techy futuristic. I am just in love with it. And its body lines, its silhouette looks so good. I have been wanting something like this. I keep pressing that. I've been wanting something like this forever because all new supercars just look the same. I want that angular looking sports car back. Like I love the the first generation Nissan 300ZX, not the second one, the first one. I love that boxy angular look of of small sports cars, not like Porsche 911s that have grown to be basically the size of sedans now. But I love this look. It looks so good. And of course they're calling back to their lineage of the supercar that no one ever saw because it never made it out of production. Um, I just think it looks so good, and we need this vibe to come back. This synthwave '80s cyberpunky kind of look. We need this, or I need this to come back. I so want more automakers to produce stuff like this because I just find it so good looking. Um, I can't imagine. I can't. I don't imagine many automakers doing anything like that. Um, it's not gonna be something that they're looking for because it's a very niche like set me pretty much a very niche set of people who um want something like that, um who want a cyberpunky um sports car. In Honda news, and I'll delete this. In Honda news, we've got a um, patent design for the new Accord, and I don't know how I feel. Um, it looks. It can I? Thank you. Stop! I'm trying to find a picture. Um, come on. Can I find one that I'm looking for? There we go. Good lord, no. Ugh. There we go. You know what it looks like to me? It looks like this. It looks like a Ford Fusion. Um, and I don't think that Ford is making the Ford Fusion anymore. I'm fairly certain most American automakers have given up on making actual cars. They're just making SUVs now. Um, Let me look at Ford's website. I highly doubt. I think it's just cars. It's just when you click on the car tab in Ford, like there's SUVs, crossovers, trucks and vans, electrified cars. It's just the Mustang. Yeah, Ford doesn't make cars anymore. I don't know when they killed the. At least in the U.S., I don't. I assume they still make. Um, why do I keep? I literally, I moved Streamlabs and VideoTube over one, so I would stop clicking on it, but I keep clicking on it instead of Streamlabs because I want to look at chat, but no one's saying anything. So, um, I don't know how I feel because it looks a lot like the clearly they're trying to go for the same kind of look of the Civic, but wow, they're clearly trying to go for the same look as the Civic. I'll put it down here. Same look as the Civic, but the Civic has more of like a brow to it because its headlights look really cool and stylized, and I don't find the Accord to be very attractive. It just kind of looks ugly. It really looks like a Ford Fusion. Um, even the even the back glass and all of that. I mean, that's pretty standard for SUVs now, but still, or stands, but still. Um, yeah, I don't like it at all. And clearly, obviously, it's not final. It's their patent design. It's clearly not the actual car, but it just looks ugly. And this is the only view we've got of it, but it doesn't have a lot of depth to it. It just kind of like the Fusion, everything is just kind of one mass. Like the Civic, the bumper headlight housing and the hood create depth and shadow. Clearly, the rendering from the patent has no depth and shadow to it, but I just I feel like it's gonna look too much ugly like the Ford Fusion because the Fusion was just kind of one. I'm making a motion with my hands, but clearly you can't see it. It was just kind of one blob, and the headlights were just kind of like glued onto it. It looked, but this thing is not gonna be pretty. I expect that very heavily. I expect this to be a very ugly sedan, and maybe that's what Honda wanted. That doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna go somewhere with that. The Civic has always been like the fun, quirky, young car. It's always been the speedy Type R manual comes in a manual. It um younger drivers, it's faster, all of that. And the Accord has always been the bigger, mature, older, pointed car. It you don't buy an Accord to have fun. Although the other day on the way to work, someone slapped a giant spoiler and like brand like livery vinyl stickers all over a brand new Honda Accord. And I was like, "What? Who are you? Why would you do that?" And they put an aftermarket exhaust on an Accord. And I was like, what are you doing? Who who, who paid you to do that?" Um But yeah, the only thing that comes to mind when I look at, I'm trying to find a better picture of the Ford Fusion, that's not like warped or, there we go, that's fine. Um, Good lord, it's huge. Um, yeah, it looks like a Fusion to me. Um, I can't imagine. I don't see a lot of what else I could think of. Um, that it looks like. That's really the only thing that comes to my mind. Um, you can say that it's an iteration of the old Accord, or the old Accord. It's the current generation of Accord. This is the next generation of Accord. Um, I just unless unless the car looks so astronomically different from what we're seeing in this concept or this patent drawing, um, it looks nothing like the current generation. Or you could, again, you could say it's an iteration of the current Accord, but the headlight housing is kind of similar. Um, the grill is nowhere near the same. Um, the back window's different, but uh, the thing that the Accord had was Honda's kind of thing was the silver like eyebrow line from the hood that was above the the headlights. That was the Accord. Good, sorry, I just hit my microphone. That was the Accord thing. It was always chrome on the front. But I don't. That clearly does not carry over into this generation. But it just, again, it's ugly. I mean, the grill. All I can think about is Ford. It's it looks nothing like the Civic, and yes, they're two different cars, and they're two different. They're pointing at two different markets. They're supposed to be two different, clearly two different cars. They're so starkly different that I wouldn't even imagine that they're from the same automaker. Because I thought that the boomerang headlight, I guess you called it boomerang headlight, of the Civic would carry over to the Accord, because that I thought that was just Honda's new thing. I just imagined that the kind of overbrow lip underbite that Honda was going for would carry over here. But this just looks like an Accord, or like a Fusion. Um, I don't know what the hell Honda's doing. Everything else, I mean, does it look like the? Hold on, I haven't even looked at. Does it look like the HRV? No, not HRVB. Good lord. Why is this so? Why is the internet so useless? I look up 2023 Honda HRV, and it's showing the title of all of the pictures I'm looking at say 2023 Honda HRV, but it's clearly like the 2016 old one. Like I don't want the old one. I want the new one. Why is it so hard to look up cars on the internet? No, it doesn't even look like the HRV. It looks nothing like the HRV. Why are you just showing me the old one? Stop. Get some help. Why is this so unhelpful? I'm so upset. Yeah, it looks nothing like. Hold on. Yeah, that doesn't look anything like it. I was thinking maybe they were trying to copy like their design from another, but the head that looks so different. What about the CRV? The new CRV. I mean, you could you could gently say that wow, that's a tiny picture. Um you could gently say that it looks whoa, that it looks like the new CRV, but the CRV has more exactly what I was just talking about. The headlights on the CRV, the headlight, the indentation for where the headlight housing is, has more depth to it, and it makes it. There's more body molding around. Like I'm gonna draw. There's more body molding around this area down here, and the indentation along the outside of the grill and along the outside of the light. But here it's just flat. Like there's no here up at the old one. Um, and yes, the entire universe hates big cutouts for the fog lights. I don't understand why. I think that's a good design, but these wow, I cannot draw with a mouse. Um they had headlight or fog light housing, which created a different level of like body styling for the outside of the front bumper of the car. But I feel like this is just gonna be like a little tiny little itty bitty little LED that really doesn't bother the outside of the car. It when I'm saying it's very safe, Honda, I guess, has taken the path of least resistance and not made something that's radical. They've made something that's they don't want to take a spotlight away from the Civic. Maybe the Civic is so good. The Corolla is very good too, but the Civic is so good that they don't want to make another sedan to compete against, but it's still their own company. I don't. Maybe it's maybe what it is, and again, I'm not an insider. I'm not a I'm not a shareholder of Honda. I have no idea. But maybe sales on the Accord are down, but the Acura, whatever equivalent for the Accord, there we go. Good lord. The Acura equivalent for the Accord is up. So they're gonna make like a radical design for the Acura version, but have it kind of be plain and boring for the Honda version. I don't. That's the only thing that would make sense in my head, because this is a very ugly sedan. It looks like yes, it'll be new. It'll have black finish. The headlights will probably look a little cool, and it'll probably be all techy inside. It'll be kind of it'll look exactly like the Civic does because now Honda got so much praise for the inside of the Civic. Now they've just copied that for the rest of their lineup. Um, I just if my assumption that I made earlier in the stream that Toyota was gonna make a new when the Crown sedan, whatever it's called, comes out, the Crown Cross, the Crown sedan, the third one in the lineup, when that comes out, and they if Toyota uses that to make a radical new, not radical, radical. I mean like a game changing stance for the mid grade sedan, then Honda's really gonna lose this one. Honda's gonna lose this round of model generation. And I feel like the Accord is just gonna sit as the car you buy for your kid when they get out of college, or it, I'm not saying that sensible and I'm not going to say reliable because it's brand new, so we don't know about that yet. I'm not going to say that sensible and plain, I guess is the right word. Sensible and plain are a bad thing. It's not. There's a lot of great, great cars that have existed that were incredible at being cars rather than innovative automotive industry changing cars, if that makes sense. So maybe Honda is taking a play out of Toyota's handbook and choosing not to be quirky and innovate something radical, and they're just gonna make a car and leave the quirky radical spotlight for the Civic and the Civic Type R, and now the CRV and probably the Pilot. They'll do the Pilot here soon. That's my thought, at least. Um, because if they do the Accord, they'll do a new Pilot. I just it's ugly. That's kind of my lasting impression is that this damn thing is ugly. That, that's what I leave you with my rant about the Accord is that it's very ugly. Um, what else was I looking at? I was looking at something to um. What did Auto Trader say about it? Yada yada yada. Hmm. I don't know. I just oh yeah, I passed this god awful abomination to my damn eyes. Is this thing a pure EV? Oh god. GM has rolled out, or at least hinted at, the existence of Billy Bob and Billy Joe hitting something with a hammer a couple times until a car spits out. GM has created the Chevy Blazer EV. Woo! No one will be standing during Chevy's existence at all. Or no one will be seated during Chevy's push to still be relevant. I don't know what the hell Chevy's doing. I find, again, what I just complained about with EVs is that they're fucking terrible. But I don't know why they continue. Huh? Oh. I don't know why they continue. Chevy continues to try to be quirky and woo, we're making things be electric because the Hummer EV was awesome. It was the only GM product in a very long time that I care about